know if anybody didn't sound like it was part of my intro. My pronouns are Your Highness or Your Majesty. I don't know.
Yeah. Those are good ones.
Yeah, I think so. I get baked like a cookie, so I float around in high territories, I guess. Could do satellite maintenance, maybe. I'm not sure. Well, I hope everybody had a happy farce of July.
What, so you're saying you should do it?
So free. It's like opposite day. That's the way I look at it. I feel like with the voters' turnouts, it's almost like marriage, you know, like with divorce rates. It's like that's not a good turnout. It's about half and half. That's a bad thing. Lots of fireworks, though, and divorces and pretending we're free. I looked up the origins of Chinese fireworks, and they started with like blowing up bamboo and fires to scare away evil demons and stuff, which I think is interesting.
Really?
And then later they started putting gunpowder and stuff in them, which made it a little bit funnier, because it's like, you know, things there go boo, and they're like, well, we're gonna make things that go boom. It's weird. I stay in San Diego. I spend a lot of time in Mission Bay, and there's like SeaWorld there, which is a whole another abomination that's not enough time to talk about. I'll have to come up with a set for SeaWorld. Not SeaWorld? No, wait. That sounds like a good one. All right, that just came up with something. Remind me later. You see me at the fire. But yeah, I think it's funny because they put a lot of toxic stuff in those things. You know, like if you live near a military base, they have like all those awful problems with teeth and like cancer. And so they have like the same kind of thing going on in the bay. They're just blowing up a bunch of like toxic chemicals. It's like, you're so free. You have cancer. You're free. You're so free. I think the anthem's kind of funny too because they talk about blowing shit up, you know. They're like, in the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave truth through the night that the flag was still there. It's like, what, the interest of U.S. foreign policy? Our shit's the bomb. It's so ridiculous. Yeah, and Bush was funny because he was always like, we're going to protect our freedom. It was like, yo, our freedoms are more shit on than a German porn star. That's totally ridiculous. Hey, does anybody even know where George Bush is from? I love to ask this one. Nope. Connecticut. Somebody said it, I think. Yeah, so when you say we're going to fight a war on terror, you should say we're going to knock it out the park. It's totally would accentuate the fraud. But yeah, it's funny because everybody talks about we live in a democracy, and it's like, no, we live in a republic. It's like, nobody knows about James Madison. How he's like, we made this to protect the tyranny, the elite from the tyranny of the minority, or the majority. The elite minority against the tyranny of the majority.
Right there.
So we're potentially tyrants if we pay attention, I guess. It's all retrospective, I guess. Or relative. Yeah, I guess you could say it's kind of like Busta Rhymes. Like they got us all in check. Woo-ha. And it's crazy, too, because there's all this, like, philosophy. I'm reading History of Philosophy right now with Bertrand Russell. And, yeah, like, there's all this stuff about Greece and whatnot, which is weird. Because, like, they were into, like, human sacrifice and little boys. So, yeah. How much do we want to honor these traditions? And then they got a lot of that stuff from Africa, so... You gotta give props to burning the Library of Alexandria so we could pretend that they came up with everything. One of the things that's funny too is about like schools. They use this term pedagogy, and a pedagogue was a teacher for slaves. So, yeah, here's a mindfuck for you. Words are power. I don't think anybody here is educating their kids in public school, right? But yeah, back to democracy though. I think it's funny that I think the Dems are putting the Dem in pandemic. I'm pretty nutty about it. Well, anytime like you question the narrative of like, you know, mainstream or the lamestream as I like to call it, is yeah, up Schitt's Creek. Like people trip out and they're like, you're like a Trumper or whatever. You're like a Republican, conservative, whatever. It's like, I thought you believe in being non-binary, but all of a sudden I'm in a box. Like, come on, man. This shit is goofy. So yeah, use that one.
I need a piece of bread.
Yeah, I think it would be funny too. You know, people are like, "How far are you going to take this? I believe in non-binary."
Do you know where the bag up?
You're like, "Hey, my phone stopped working. I'm non-binary." 001, 0001. No, I don't believe in zeros or ones. Where is it going to stop? I don't believe in DNA. I don't know. It's totally ridiculous. It's nonsense. I think these people are like just being a bunch of giant babies, and according to their beliefs, I could abort them. Speaking of aborting things, I think gluten or gender is the new gluten. You gotta cut it off. I feel so much better now that I got rid of my God-given anatomy.
Everyone is drawn.
I'll show my lead.
I have a like joke about. I live with I call him. I'm no offense if you actually went to a doctor and you have celiac, which is like 1 in 1,000 people or whatever. It's like the odds of dying of COVID. Very small. I also do one too. Just came up with that. But yeah, like, do they have like some weird flag, like the Gadsden flag? Anybody know what the Gadsden flag is?
No.
We got it.
It's the yellow flag with a snake on it.
Ours has a rainbow on it.
Yeah.
That's up there.
Did the gluten fighters have a flag that says "Don't bread on me"?
Don't bread on me. Ah, don't bread on me.
I do really dark dad jokes sometimes. Sometimes not so dark.
You want to bread on this part real quick?
But yeah, back to cutting things off you to make yourself feel better. There's a body image integrity disorder. Is like these people are like, this leg, this is not my leg. It's not. That leg doesn't fucking belong there. All right, I studied psychology initially before I got into politics and economics, and I tried to mix it in. So it's just interesting to look that back up now and realize that like the research they've done is the people that feel that way, their brain is literally not wired exactly to it. They can make it move, but it doesn't feel. So it's like it has no soul. And so those people, eventually, if they, do the right thing or whatever is far by them, and they get the medical attention that they think they need, they get that leg cut off, those people, 100% of the time, are happy as shit. Those people are fucking so satisfied. They're like, oh my God, I feel so much better. I have one leg. That's craziness, right? But the stats are not good for the transgender community. Be like, I cut off my third leg, and I think I still want to kill myself. They just want to cut themselves off entirely, I guess. I don't know. It's totally ridiculous. It's hard to wrap your head around that. But to lighten it up a little bit more here, I wonder about the future. We're gonna have this. They probably exist already. I just don't know about it. I don't even read news. I just like get things from osmosis through other people. They're so absurd. I hear about them. But yeah, in the future, we're gonna have like these ambulance chasers, the transgender like operation movement. They're gonna like be upset and want to sue the doctor and be like, were you in a gender bender? Totally ridiculous. Be like, so tell me what happened when you were getting your addictomy.
No, I don't want it.
I don't know about this mix of the gender stuff. It's weird. It's like I haven't seen a version of this that even works yet. A washer and dryer. We can't make that, but we can like mix dicks and chicks. I don't know. I feel like that we have an inconsistency here. And it's no wonder that everybody's going crazy. I feel like it's also a byproduct of like you are what you eat and like the what we do with animal agriculture and stuff. And like people need like pills to make themselves feel better because we're like screwing other people over and animals and like we're all like getting screwed in the same kind of way in a weird system, So back to the pills, it's no wonder we all need to take mood suppressants. People going mad like the cows. I'd be pretty mad if somebody fed my friends to me too. Call me crazy. There's no mad carrot disease that I know of, but who knows? But yeah, back to the LGBT WTF nonsense or whatever. It's like, I don't know about you. Some people say like a lot of people that are in boy bands are gay. I don't know if they're gay, but I think they're a little bi. If Bush was in the presidency right now with this like craziness, I wonder if he'd be talking about war on gender. Would he like have his own? Would he like kind of co-opt it and like have his own "I'm not a man" cave? Who knows? Yeah. Oh, Bruce Jenner is an interesting character though. So if he like decided he was Bruce again instead of Caitlyn or whatever, I don't even know. I don't even know what most people look like that everybody talks about. Like that's how far removed I am from pop culture. But yeah, so if he decided he wanted to go back, would that make him a transformer? Or is he just more? I guess he would have been a Decepticon. Now he's just a near miss. But yeah, I don't know. It's weird. It's like a adult version of sexual predation, you know, like destroying people's genders. I mean, I wonder if in like the Middle East, you know, they like bring our weird TV shows around the world, wherever the U.S. foreign policy and stuff goes. Do they like, you know, if they're gonna have TV shows, are they gonna have like To Catch a Predator drone? There's some people I think they're ahead of their time, you know, at least when it comes to like cutting things off. Maybe like if she had a, you know, a degree, Lorena Bobbitt. Is that the opposite of too soon? It's like that was too long ago. I don't know what you're talking about. Who's that? There was in Humboldt County. I used to live there for like the last 15 years almost. But yeah, there was this serial killer, and he liked chopping tits off of girls and killing them. I don't know, it's weird. But it's like, you know, if that guy had the right direction, he'd be successful right now. He tried to turn himself in. This is the crazy part. He went to the police station. He's like, hey, I'm the guy. They're like, yeah, fuck off. So he's like, oh, okay, you don't believe me? He went home, he got a pair of tits and brought it back. They're all frozen. He's like, do you have a sore ankle? Throw this on it. I'm just kind of winging it there. Oh, man. All right. Well, anyways, back to animal agriculture and breasts. Yeah, it's funny they call it the bird flu. I think they should call it the poultrygeist. Influenza is actually funny. It comes from they created like rice fields and then like ducks were like landing in them. So like it was influenza originally was a gut thing and then it like aerosolized and adapted to humans because of human cultivation. It's kind of like what we were talking about earlier with like the weeds and the humans and stuff, which is actually a huge tangent that could be going through. But anyways, it's just kind of funny. Yeah, that we like messed that up. Quack, quack. This is done. And then to not talk about that is just like quack medicine, I guess. That's where I was going. Yeah, it's weird what they're doing with like education and like kids and stuff. And they're like trying to sexualize them and be like, ask your dad, like, how tight he likes to squeeze when he jerks off. Like, what? This is literally like what's happening in school. I've been told multiple times, literally from parents. Like, that's the part that's disturbing about it. It's like, get your kid out of that place. Like, what in the hell? But yeah, I was wondering, you know, religion, like they seem like they go against it, but are they going to like, you know, cash in too eventually one day? Like they kind of like go with the flow eventually all the time. So they're going to have like a woke version of the New Testament, maybe the Nude Testament. Might get their attention better. I don't know. All right. I was kind of in the middle of rewriting my set. I thought I had 10 minutes. Now it's just craziness. Oh, I think I'm missing a page. Can somebody run into the table over by the door? And there might be a sheet of paper like this, like in the middle of the table. But yeah, I think I do have more of it on this page where I was rewriting from. Yeah, so the testing is like totally crazy. That's sounding great in school because we're just sharp as a tack. This is totally ridiculous. People are so dumb. They have like the attention span of like an attention span of a gnat. They're just as annoying when they're in your face. Thank you, sir. Oh, not it.
Not it? Another piece of paper.
Good effort. There might be another one. There's like a whole clipboard too, but I think it was a loose piece of paper.
Bring him one at a time.
I'm a personal trainer, so he's just getting his exercise. So. Oh man. But yeah, the testing is totally ridiculous. Testing is like comes from squeezing your nuts, so that's always fun to keep in mind when they're like, take your test. What? But the testing isn't very good, like I said, in the schools, just terrible. But it's also bad medicine. Like, they'll test women for breast cancer, and it's like 1 out of 10 actually need to have a surgery. So they're, like, mutilating all these people. And it's just like, what the hell? Like, your record's not tits, I guess. I wasn't that strong, but it's squishy. But, yeah, so yeah, that's it, I think. The PCR test is totally ridiculous. Good job. Because, like, they cycle this thing up, like, 40 times. Like, you multiply anything times 40 times. Does anybody have $2 in their pocket right now? You are a quadrillionaire. Are you a quadrillionaire? Like, if I had a piece of sand in my nose, does that make me a fucking Sandman? These tests are crazy. Prostate cancer, too, is another thing. They'll be like, oh, here's a chemical you might have. Your prostate gland's like a little walnut thing wrapped around like your pee tube for dudes, real dudes. And then, like, it's really hard to get to. There's no Star Trek shit. Like, so they're just, like, don't know what they're doing. They're literally taking a stab at it. And that's modern medicine. So, yeah, science. Let's worship that. Get out of here. It also mutilates people, makes them incontinent. It's just nuts. So, not impressed. Well, anyways, speaking of people that can't shoot anymore out of their holes, people that have been shooting have been doing things like shooting schools, and I want to give a moment of silence to all the responsible gun owners. Too soon? Yeah, I think the school system, as I've noted earlier, is like totally garbage. And yeah, so if I had a kid, which I don't, because I wrapped that shit up, B. If I did have a kid, he wouldn't be caught dead there. Also too soon, I guess. Yeah, it's just totally ridiculous thing. I think that the news misses out because they play like these guys' narratives and stuff and like whatever. There was the vegan lady. It was in San Bernardino. Does anybody remember this lady? She like shot up some office or whatever. She said she was vegan. I was like, well, that's not vegan. But I was like, how did you not label this lady the salad shooter? They missed out. Wacko and Waco was garbage. Like salad shooter. That should have been epic. Well, speaking of mass shootings, let's talk about vaccination. I don't have a lot of time. I'm like halfway through all the crazy shit I've come up with. Medicine should not have a Disney pass. I guess I'll start with that. And yeah, I don't know, mask is like a new version of, I guess, the facial security blanket. Achoo signaling. I don't know. I think these policies are retarded. Lockdown syndrome. Much? I don't know. It's just like, I feel like that's one of the things that makes the school shooters even bolder is like, hey, they have no facial expressions. Have at it. Like, they can't help possibly at all. Yeah, I feel like we have a medical mafia. We're like, we're going to take care of you. Make sure nothing happens to you. Like having an experience in a life. Yeah, come here. Yeah, it's like you got these goons walking around be like, you know, Dr. Fauci would be displeased with you. You don't want him upset, do you? That's a new bit I want to work on. But yeah, they're like a teepee mafia, and like the teepee they have is basically like the stuff you get when you go to like a government restroom. It's like one ply. You end up fingering your butt. Yeah, I'm not impressed. But they're like, you must comply. It's the best system we have. They're like the Hell's Angels of healthcare. I want to jump around to another festival I done, Beloved, up in Oregon. They did their last one pre-pandemic, so I guess they're kaput. And what's a better way to have the demise of your festival than to start a farm with human composting? Has anybody heard about this stuff? Yes. It's like Soil and Green. This shit is real.
Humanure?
Yeah, it's nuts. So it's like, yeah, that's the Beyond Beef. It's pretty dark. I know they're doing weird stuff with vaccines, or not with vaccines, with the fetal tissue and stuff. Like to think there's not life after death, they use it to make these flavor enhancers. So, you know, you might be upset you had to get that abortion, but, you know, you might be in touch with your kid next time you get a box of Sour Patch Kids. Dead serious.
Is that for real, for real?
For real, for real. Yeah. It's demented. I did a whole set on dead babies and horrified a huge room of people. My girlfriend at the time, she just stopped recording it. I was like, why'd you stop recording it? Like, I need to know where the laughs are in that mess of dead babies. And I talk about, yeah, well, I like to say that we have an obesity epidemic in this country. We got more baby fat than a dumpster in an abortion clinic. You asked for it. Oh, man. But yeah, the power, women's power to create is amazing. I don't want to get rid of it. I've learned a lot from women. You know, I was going down one time and I realized I was claustrophobic because I felt boxed in. Well, that's all you need to know. I didn't avoid it. I just knew what I was dealing with. Just got to like breathe through a paper bag and then do what I got to do. Yeah, I can relate to the lesbian community a little bit because I've trimmed weed in Humboldt for 15 years, so I've been scissoring like a lesbian. Oh man. All right. Well, I was heard I might have like 25 minutes. I'm at like
let's
around
see, what do you
19.
got
I just want to double check so I don't go over.
Oh, you're pretty much got like the minute left.
Oh no, that's
Two-
not.
2
That's,
minutes.
that's not what she said.
2 minutes left.
All right. Well, we'll talk a little bit more about the human manure. Yeah. I mean, everybody knows about like. I feel like people don't know about stuff like the Bilderberg, but they know about like Bob's Burgers. It's kind of goofy. You never see an abortion pride parade, do you? I mean, I know they fight for it, but nobody's like out there like gung ho, you know. I feel like those people are messed up. Like they maybe should be aborted. I'm not into that, like killing people, but you know, maybe aborted like in the sense of like the launch of the Columbia.
Abort.
Yeah, those people are a disaster. I feel it'd be pretty dramatic to have an abortion, you know, like if I had like a food baby I had to have pulled out. They had to stick forceps in me, piece by piece, take it out.
Vacuum.
I might have to like curl up. Sorry, that's my fetal position. I would have slept okay though, because I knew my kid would have been a piece of shit. Then I'll just say like, yeah, I think it's messed up that they say like that, you know, people you use birth control or whatever. I was like, what about self-control? Does anybody have that? That's crazy. Maybe you should have aborted the missionary position. Oh, man. All right. Well, hope I didn't bomb like U.S. foreign policy, but that's kind of stuff I like talking about. I had maybe 10 minutes more for you, but I have more than enough to keep you
Tell us
happy.
jokes around the fire.
Yeah. I'll see you at the fire later. I didn't spin fire because I brought my motorcycle. I couldn't carry my mace. I just had to bring the dog. Gotta bring the dog. All right. Thanks, you guys. Cheers. I'm Jason Robo. Have a good
Anybody
night.
got any questions?
Yeah, you have any demented questions for me?